A Fox News alert to start us off here, and really no surprise, but FBI Director Christopher Wray has announced that he is going to be ending his tenure as the FBI Director earlier than the end of his 10-year term, which, again, is not surprising. As Donald Trump has said, he wants Kash Patel to head up the FBI in the new administration. David Spunt, live at the Justice Department with the breaking news for us. David?
Well, John, Wray, the FBI director, is making this announcement right now in an all-staff town hall with thousands of across the country. He says now is his time to go. As you mentioned, he has a 10-year term. All FBI directors do. He was 7 years into his 10-year term, and realistically, he had two options: wait to be fired by President-elect Donald Trump because Trump announced Kash Patel would take over, or bow out before. He has chosen to bow out before. Wray is a former Republican lawyer, former DOJ prosecutor here in Washington, D.C., hired by Trump in 2017 after Trump fired James Comey after the entire Russia investigation probe. And Wray pretty much stayed out of the headlines as much as he could, at least. But in 2022, former President Trump became increasingly angry when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago during the classified documents investigation. Of course, that was ordered by Attorney General Merrick Garland, who oversees the Justice Department, not Christopher Wray. But nonetheless, Christopher Wray saw the future and saw that it is his time to go. So he will be stepping down as Kash Patel, the upcoming FBI director, if confirmed, is on Capitol Hill.
What's your reaction to Ray's resignation?
We look forward to a very smooth transition at the FBI, and I'll be ready to go on day one.
Boy. We got some big news to talk about here. Maybe surprising, maybe not so surprising. As FBI Director, Christopher Wray has fired himself, right? He has resigned due to the fact that Trump came out and said that, hey, Kash Patel is my guy. He's going to be the next director of the FBI, and Christopher Wray will be fired. So instead of going through the process of being fired, which would include a whole lot of scrutiny during the confirmation hearings of Kash Patel, instead of going through that process, Christopher Wray says, nah, I'm good, right? I'm basically going to tap out on this. I'm going to resign, basically paving the way for Kash Patel to take his spot.
Well, John, Christopher Wray, the FBI director, is making this announcement right now in an all-staff town hall with thousands.
What's going on? What's going on, y'all? Once again, it's your man, Chris B, back again. I just had to react to my man, Black Conservative Perspective. I had to check his video out. It's a little older video, but more or less it's important news, you know what I'm saying? Because Christopher Wray was tripping. He was tripping, man. As head of the FBI. He was doing a lot of things that was suspect in a lot of ways, if you ask me. But it's got a lot of people in DC and the deep state in panic mode. A lot of people want pardons these days. They begging Joe Biden for pardon. Please give me a pardon. I think it's a good thing to see. You know how they always say no one is above the law? Well, how can you spend time locking a whole bunch of people up and you have that much power and authority and you use some of that power to go after Americans? And that's on a higher level. But I always like covering my man, Black Perspective. I like covering his videos. He got some good videos. Like I said, once again, one of my favorite YouTubers out. But it just got me thinking about the feds. You know, normally when you think about the feds, you know it's serious. Especially they got a 96% conviction rate. So you know if you get a Fed charge, it's serious. Anybody used to know that. But for a lot of years, a lot of people have been talking about how corrupt it was at the top levels of the FBI. They call it the seventh floor. People jokingly call it, but it's a place where these higher ups in the FBI get together and dictate how the agencies run. And a lot of the good FBI people that's are good and want to just serve the country and protect and serve, they get either iced out, early retirement, or straight up smeared. And if your career has money, you know, it might make it hard. It might make it a hard situation for you to be able to not get and go along with the program. But I think the Wray bowing out early and not getting fired by Trump shows they know something was up with the FBI. But let's continue.
Of FBI employees across the country. He says now is his time to go. As you mentioned, he has a 10-year term. All FBI directors do. He was 7 years into his 10-year term, and realistically, he had two options: wait to be fired by President-elect Donald Trump because Trump announced Kash Patel would take over, or bow out before. He has chosen to bow out before. Wray is a former Republican lawyer, former DOJ prosecutor here in Washington, D.C., hired by Trump in 2017 after Trump fired James Comey after the entire Russia investigation probe. And Wray pretty much stayed out of the headlines as much as he could, at least. But in 2022, former President Trump became increasingly angry when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago during the classified documents investigation. Of course, that was ordered by Attorney General Merrick Garland, who oversees the Justice Department, not Christopher Wray. But nonetheless, Christopher Wray saw the future and saw that it is his time to go. So he will be stepping down as Kash Patel, the upcoming FBI director, if confirmed, is on Capitol Hill. So the director right now is making this announcement to an all-staff meeting. We're waiting to get some wording of some of his comments.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, of course, MSNBC is currently fuming. They're upset, they're mad, they're pissed that Christopher Wray decided to fold to Trump and to step down instead of having Trump fire him, because again, it paves the way for Kash Patel to take that seat, and they are afraid that Kash Patel will do what Joe Biden did with the DOJ and the FBI and to weaponize the department to go after his political opponents, okay, aka corrupt.
What I like about what I do like about my man, he goes to MSNBC, CNN, and watches all them clips all day to get them clips. God bless you, brother. You're a better one than me. I'll just go to X to get my news. We are the news now, as they say. But, you know, you have to have the patience of Job to go watch that stuff all day. So salute to my man. Yeah, for real. Let's go.
Democrats, right? They're afraid of this because of Kash Patel and his belief in right-wing conspiracies. Take a look.
The transition team is confident in Kash Patel and confident he will be serve the American people on day one. If he should be confirmed, seems to be against taking some of those actions on day one.
Oh, I think there's no doubt. I mean, he has said the 2020 election was stolen. He has said the Trump-Russia investigation by Robert Mueller never should have been carried out. He's talked about, you know, firing large groups of people who he cites in his book for allegedly committing these deep state crimes, and they don't even understand what he's talking about. They seem more to be people who he disagrees with politically, he's bad interactions with earlier in his career. So I don't want to be too harsh here. It's up to the Senate. But I just want to emphasize the level of concern among current and former FBI officials that Kash Patel is the wrong person to run the FBI is very, very high. There are other appropriate directors that Trump could choose, or more appropriate people, more qualified, who don't use these deep state conspiracy theories, who could, I think, you know, or they think serve the Trump administration well. But Kash Patel is alarming a lot of people.
David Rode, thank you.
Yeah, so what are these so-called conspiracy theories that the propagandists are so afraid of when it comes to Cash Patel and the things that he wants to investigate? Well, the conspiracy theories that Cash Patel wants to investigate are things that the American people actually really want to know about. Like, for example, where's all the money going to that we're sending to Ukraine, which is something that Cash Patel has came out and said, yeah, I see an investigation into Congress and where we're sending this money to fund this war.
I've asked this Congress to investigate where has this money gone. The American people are owed that answer because it's our money. It's our taxpayer dollars.
And there's a lot of really good reason to be concerned because, the Ukraine was known.
Now they're really scared of this guy. They are really scared of this guy right here, Cash Patel. Because, in a lot of ways, he knows where a lot of the bones are buried. And that's what a lot of people don't want to see. Don't y'all want to see the Epstein list? Don't y'all want to see the Diddy files? I think a lot of people are very interested in that. And yeah, of course, where did a lot of that money, taxpayer money, your money, my money, where did it go to? I think a lot of interested answers to those questions. Besides what's flying around in the sky in Jersey. Shout out to my peoples in Jersey. What's going on? What's going on? But if you live in Covington, Virginia, you've seen some weird stuff in our sky too. So, it's going down. But let's continue.
Known as a, place of corruption, a place for money laundering.
Yeah. It's not like we sent $1 billion, as if that was even a small number to begin with, right? We've sent 100 times that to one country. I don't know how this Congress is allowed to get away with it. And Zelensky out there, he went on the world stage and said, Russia fired a rocket into Poland, which would literally be an act of war. Well, it turned out that Russia fired no such rocket. It turned out that the rocket came from the Ukraine and was fired into Poland.
And it was a mistake, basically.
If Zelensky's going to go out there and beg the world for more money and come to the U.S. and sit in the well of our Congress and say, we want money, and then command the new Speaker of the House more and more money, and call McConnell and say, we need more and more machines, to be more about global statements that bring us to the precipice of war than doing what he did last fall with this missile attack, or this missile launch, I should say. And we just can't have full faith and trust by giving a leader $100 billion and having him say, I'm not telling you where the money went.
Accountability, right? Which is something that the Democrats and the liberal media, they seem to be allergic to, right? Anytime Trump puts somebody in charge that says, hey, we're going to hold Democrats accountable. Okay. We're going to hold liberals accountable. We're going to hold the liberal media accountable. Oh, no, we can't have that, right? That's a terrible and dangerous thing. He's a right-wing conspiracy theorist. It's almost as if these people have something to hide, right? If you have nothing to hide, then why are you so afraid? Why are you so afraid? But the truth is, we do know they have things to hide, which is kind of the reason why Christopher Wray decided to resign rather than to just be fired by Trump.
January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
Any
with
assets?
FBI agents.
Did you have any assets present that day in the crowd?
When it comes to what you're calling assets, or what we would call confidential human sources, that's a place where, again, I want to be careful. Much as I said in response to an earlier question, there are court filings that I think speak to this that I'm happy to make sure we get to you, assuming they're not under seal. And that can better answer the question than I can as I sit here right now.
And see, that was the problem with Christopher Wray. They never answer questions. They never answer the questions that Congress asked them. They never answer it. They sit up there and act like they don't have to answer. In a lot of cases, like a lot of the people that get up there, they act very arrogant when they get up there. But in his case, he just never will give you an answer. And that's used to frustrate Congress. You know, everything It used to be back in the days, they hide everything under national security. Now, I think the term is ongoing investigations. Now, you can't comment on nothing because it's an ongoing investigation. So you can never answer the question. So I think that's a lot of the frustration of why people want change and want Kash Patel at that FBI position, because they know that they'll get some answers in these congressional hearings. And a lot of people are going to be shocked when they find out some of the things that's been going on in the FBI and our federal government. But I think it needs to be done. A cleansing needs to be done. Ain't that how redemption stories are? You're a sinner or you've done wrong, but you admit to your sins or your crimes and you be forgiven. And then at the end of the road, there might be some redemption. Hopefully there'll be some redemption for the FBI. Because, you know, to be all honest, you can't put it all on Wray. This all started with J. Edgar Hoover. And a lot of people that know about J. Edgar Hoover know how he got down. It was said that he used to walk into, after each administration come in, he'd be the last person that see the president, the incoming president. And he'd be the main one to keep his job. For, I guess, about 50 or 60 years he did that. And God knows what all kind of files they got on who they was watching. So I think it's a new day coming in the Department of Justice and the FBI and a lot of our federal agencies. But we'll just have to take a wait and see approach. And nowadays you can hold them to the account and hold their feet to the fire. Let's go.
No, I don't know the answer to that question, but I can tell you that we don't investigate people for their exercise of their constitutionally protected religious expression. That particular intelligence product is something that as soon as I saw it, I was aghast. I had it withdrawn.
Really, you were aghast?
I was.
Oh, really? And
yes,
what
sir.
have you done about it? Did you fire the people who wrote it?
No, I had it withdrawn.
Have you fired anybody involved in it?
Senator, if you would give me a chance to answer
That's a
your
yes
question.
or a no. It's not hard. Have you fired anyone involved in the writing of that outrageous memo, about which, frankly, you've repeatedly misled the public? Yes or no?
The individuals involved in that
Have you
product
fired
were
anyone?
Just a minute.
You haven't done a darn thing. You haven't fired anybody. In fact, what the House found is, what is it? You admonished them. They were admonished. And their respective supervisors were told to engage with the Human Resources Division to ensure that deficiencies are addressed. Oh, well, I feel much better. They've been sent to bed without food. Good heavens, Director. This is one of the most outrageous targetings. You have mobilized your division, the most powerful law enforcement division in the world, against traditionalist Catholics, whatever the heck that means. And you just told us you have not fired a single person.
You know, many people like to point out that Christopher Wray was appointed by Trump. Christopher Wray is a member of Permanent Washington who doesn't like to discuss anything, including why his agents concocted a plan to kidnap the governor of Michigan or how many FBI agents were active on January 6th. The FBI gets away with all this because they are permanent fixtures in Washington, as is your national media.
Because as the propagandists on MSNBC are going to admit that if Christopher Wray had stayed in that spot as FBI director during the confirmation hearings, then he would have to endure a whole lot of scrutiny about the current FBI.
So I think that Chris Wray was trying to say, look, I'm currently going to serve out the time that the current president, President Biden, warned that out. But he doesn't want to drag the FBI or himself through a sort of confirmation hearing for the next FBI director, where he and his conduct and the FBI's conduct would be one of the things under scrutiny. Having said all that, I'm not sure that's, as Anthony said just a moment ago, I'm not sure that is the better call here. If the FBI did something right or wrong, it should be subject to scrutiny. That's not something that should be hidden from the American people. If Chris Wray himself has done things right or wrong, that also is something that should be the subject of hearings. And I think the damage of what Chris Wray is doing is that it undermines the congressional intent for there being cause that an FBI director is apolitical.
Yeah, I got bad news, right? I got bad news for Andrew Weissman, the very, very, very zesty propagandist on MSNBC. The credibility of the FBI has already been undermined in the eyes of the American people. Okay, one of the reasons why the American people overwhelmingly approve of Trump's transition, even though the media has went out of their way to smear almost every Trump nominee, right? They've done nothing but talk about Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and RFK and Pete Hegseth and Matt Gaetz. They've tried their best to smear almost everybody in Trump's cabinet. The American people still approve.
President, a majority of Americans, 54%, say they expect him to do a good job as president. And we asked specifically, do you have confidence in all of these areas about how Trump will perform and his ability to handle it? And once again, as we saw throughout the campaign,
and this is on CNN, which is no Trump fan. In case y'all didn't know, they are not Trump fans. They definitely don't like no Trump. But they can't deny the will of the people, and what the people are talking about is that they approve of what Trump's doing so far. He's not even stepped into office. So you gotta wonder why the credibility of the FBI is gone. Because of witch hunts, lawfare, going into Mar-a-Lago, setups all over the place. It's all kinds of wicked stuff that the FBI do. I hope we find out what exactly is going on. Well, let's continue.
the economy is issue number one of his strength. 65%, 2/3 of Americans in this poll say they have some or a lot of confidence in Trump's ability to manage and handle the economy as president. And you see Russia, Ukraine follow there, then immigration, and his leadership skills, his what he intends to use his power for, whether that'll be responsibly not, a bit lower. But again, all of this is majority support. So that is where things stand right now.
And the reason why is because institutions like the FBI, the American people have lost trust and faith in those institutions, and they are looking for the change that Trump has promised. Take a look.
Patel has real reason to believe that Americans would go along with changes that he might potentially make at the FBI. And there's a reason why Donald Trump feels like he can make this change. It's because if you look here, FBI is doing an excellent or good job. Look at this time trend line. You go back to 2014, right? It was 59% of Americans, then 57% in 2019, 50% in 2022. Look at where we are today. My goodness gracious, just 41% of Americans think the FBI is doing an excellent or good job. That is by far the lowest number this century. The bottom line is, during the Trump administration, obviously there were the investigations into Donald Trump. You saw a little bit of drop then, and then post January 6th, look at that drop, 50%, now 41%. My goodness gracious, Kate Baldwin.
I think one thing about this, hard to gauge, right? I'll call it a chicken or an egg kind of question. Is the view declining because is it from bottom up or top down? Is it because people are talking trash about the FBI more and more, or because Americans' views of distrust of agency are? That is hard to know. But I throw that out there by asking then, how does it break down along party lines?
Yeah, take a look at Republicans. Here we go. Look at this drop. If you thought
geez.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. That's a very good word, Kate Baldwin. If you look, it's 2 words. That's what I was going for. Geez Louise. There's 2 words right there. Among Republicans, is the FBI doing an excellent or good job? This is where you really see the drop. Well, if you go back to 2014, I'm going to come to your side of the screen, 62%. 2019, look at that, 46%. 2022, 29%. Now we're tied for the lowest point at this century among Republicans at 26%. That is a drop of more than half since 2014. So again, you saw some of that drop during the Trump administration. Obviously he replaced James Comey, and then you see it really after January 6th, 29%, and now 26%. That is a tremendous drop off.
Let's remember, and then let's try.
Yeah, remember the number and remember this trend line, this downward trend line.
And I don't even think they talked about independence. You know what I'm saying? Definitely like me, I'm an independent. I'm a Trump supporter, but I definitely am an independent because like I've said before, numerous times, them spineless Republicans fight Trump harder than the Democrats, as you can see. That's one of the main reasons Trump came out the gates early with his nominations so that the world can see these rhinos for what they are. And now they're getting hammered and peppered all over social media. Something that didn't happen to them before. And they was able to hide behind the curtains of Congress. Not anymore.
Among Democrats, it's just not the same story at all. All right. Among Democrats, it was 54% in 2014. Then you saw that number shoot up to 66% in 2019. Then look at this, 79% in 2022. We have seen some drop off since then to 67%, but that is still significantly higher than it was in 2014 at 54%. The bottom line is this: if Republicans have become much less trusting of the FBI, Democrats have become more trusting, though the number who trust it now, who think it's doing an excellent or good job, is lower than it was 2 years ago. And that is why we have the lowest percentage of Americans overall who believe the FBI is doing an excellent or good job.
You can assume Republicans and people who voted for Donald Trump this cycle is that trend could carry across many. Just distrust in institutions in general seems to be growing, and that was a large part of this election.
That was a very large part of this election. It's a very large part of why I think Donald Trump believes that he can go ahead and make big changes to the government, and the American public, and especially Republicans, will go right along with him.
Great to see you, Harry. Thank
Nice to see you.
Yeah, and he's right. 100% correct. Okay, Trump does have the approval of the American people to make these big changes. All these things that the mainstream media is fear-mongering about when it comes to the FBI, when it comes to the DOJ, when it comes to the Department of Defense, the American people gave Trump a mandate, and President Trump is fulfilling that mandate. That's what he's doing. This is why I'm so much more excited about this second Trump administration than the first. Trump has learned, right? He said, hey, I picked some bad people for my first administration. And clearly, he is rectifying that mistake, and he's not making the same mistake this time around. Okay, now you might not agree with every single last one of his picks, but me personally, I think that this cabinet is a significant improvement over the last cabinet that he had. And also on top of that, it is very ideologically diverse, which I think is a good thing. I think it's a good thing to have people from across the political spectrum in your cabinet, but when it comes to certain positions where it really counts the most, like, for example, when it comes to the economy, he has conservatives in those positions, right? And when it comes to defense, intelligence, law enforcement, he has people in there that are going to shake up the status quo because that is what the people want. Trump is giving the people what they want. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And you're seeing the deep state. Okay, you're seeing the establishment. Some of these individuals, they're already folding. They're folding. Okay, so I have confidence. I have faith that most of Trump's cabinet picks are going to go through. I think right now, the three that are obviously the most controversial are probably Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and RFK. Right, those are the ones I think are really going to be a little bit more difficult, but I think ultimately they're going to get through. I think they're going to get through, but we'll see, right? All I know is that the American people are on the side of Trump. They approve of Trump's picks. And hey, if the American people approve of it, I'm hoping that the Republicans will fall in line. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Yep. That was my man. Black conservative perspective. Y'all should definitely, if you're on YouTube, go over to his page and channel and give him a follow. If you're on X, I believe it's Greg Foreman at BCP _ I believe, BCP. Definitely give him a follow on X for the X world out there. I'm not sure if he's on Facebook, but if you can find a Black conservative perspective, go check him out. Give him a follow on Facebook as well. I just like his videos, down to earth kind of guy, you know what I'm saying, that gives a different perspective more than the average person that's into politics can understand. And me personally, I like what's going on. I used to watch the movies back in the days where they said the corruption goes all the way to the top. And I think we're seeing that in real time. And I think it's well needed, because if Trump is going to take on the deep state, he's going to need the Department of Justice and he's going to need the FBI. Because these people have been there for years and years and years and years, and they're not going out without a fight. And like I said about Trump, I admire the fight. Not many got the balls to be the man in the arena. We can say that from the outside looking in. A lot of us are tough, internet tough. You tough on the internet streets. When it comes down to getting your hands dirty, a lot of them run. So on that aspect alone, I gotta admire Trump for the fight. At least he's willing to go up against these people that's been robbing and killing the American people for years. And I'm all here for it. But I just thought I'd hit y'all with another quick video. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to your boy as we react to another video. I'll be hitting y'all again. But get at me. It's your man, Chris B. And on my heel.